What's up YouTube, this is Demkeys back again with another Unity tutorial, and this is part 3 of the Unity 4.6 UI Tools series. In this part you're going to learn how to use toggle controls and input fields. I will also show you how to add event triggers on other UI elements that don't have event triggers by default. So let's begin. I'm going to start by creating a canvas, and within this canvas I'm going to create an empty game object and call it toggle group. To this I'm going to add the toggle group component, and then I'm going to create toggle controls within this toggle group game object. Now let's take a look at the toggle control. It's got a rect transform and a toggle script. Within the toggle script you have certain other properties, just like other controls which you have studied in the previous segments. There's interactable, transition. You can have 3 different types of transitions. There's navigation, whether or not this toggle control should be active or inactive. Then toggle transition, this can be fade or none. And then you have graphic. This is basically telling the toggle control what's going to be the graphic, or what's going to be the object that's holding the graphic responsible for the toggle. And then you have group. Now in group you have to drag this toggle group game object, because if you want, say for example, if you have 3 toggle controls, obviously since it's a toggle control you wouldn't want more than one to be selectable. So let me show you what happens if none is selected. I'm going to create copies of this toggle control, and they are all still children of the toggle group, but watch what happens when I play the game. They are all active. I can choose to have all of them inactive or all of them active, or either one, whatever. This is not what you would want in a toggle control. What you want is for only one toggle control to be active at a given time. That's why you have to specify which toggle group this toggle control is a part of. Now I've specified it over here, so I'm going to make copies of it, and now when I run the game only one can be selected. Next you have the on value changed event. This is when this given toggle is selected, or well, in this case it says value change because the value will be active or inactive. Just like the other controls, you can add events to this as well. For example, let's try I'm going to add this title bar over here and set its size to 40. Change the color, make it a little lighter, and align it in the center. Alright, now I'm going to create an empty game object. This game object is not a child of the canvas. You can make it a child, doesn't matter. Call it scripts, and within this I'm going to create a new script and call it toggle title script. The first thing we need to do is add Unity engine.ui to the using list so that we can create a public text object. Call this title bar. Now we are going to create a public void and call this change title. Change title should take one parameter of int type and we'll call this index. You can name it whatever you want. You can also name the function whatever you want. Okay, if if index is equal to 1, then title bar dot text should be, let's say, GTA 5. Now I'm going to copy this so if index is equal to 2, then the text should be destiny, and if it's equal to 3, the text can be, I don't know, NFS. Okay, now since our first toggle is going to be selected by default, so let's change the default text to GTA 5. Did I write just GTA or GTA 5? Okay. There. Now go in the scripts object and add this title bar over here. So because we have to tell the script exactly which title bar's text has to be changed. Now we go in each toggle bar and add an event. Drag the scripts object, go to toggle title script and select change title int, and we enter the value 1 over here. Then we select the second toggle and do the same thing, but in this case we will add the value 2 instead of 1. And then for the third toggle the same thing, but we add the value 3. Now let's run the game and see what happens. So this is how you use the toggle controls. Next, let's take a look at input fields. Alright, now input fields are useful in cases where you want to get user input and use it for whatever purpose. It could be maybe to store a custom player name, or, well, you get the point. Alright, so the input field has a couple of components. There's the rect transform, the canvas renderer, the image script, and input field. Image script is useful for changing the background of the input field. For example, I can add this sprite over here. I can change the color to red, or I guess I can do it with the default sprite as well. No, I'll have to add my own sprite, and then I can change the text color to, well, I would control the text color from here, make it something light there, and increase this to say 20. That's good. Next you have the input field. Within input field there are other properties. Text component, that tells the input field exactly which component to get the text from. That is, in this case, this component. Next you have starting value. This is the default value, basically the value that the input field is going to start out with. You can type anything like, say, mic. When you run the game, this is the default value. Input type is basically what kind of an input field this is. You have standard, autocorrect, and password. I'm not sure what autocorrect does, but password will just show you these characters. It's not going to show you the actual value. Next you have character limit, then you have active text color, selection color, whether it's a multi-line input field or not, whether it's interactable or not, and what kind of transition should it have. We have already covered this in the previous segment. And navigation. Now let's try and catch this value and change our title bar's text. I'm going to add a button, and I'm going to go back here in our toggle title script and add, first of all, a public input field, call it input F, and I don't think I need to add title bar, that's already there. Okay, public void change title O2. In this case we don't need to take in a parameter. We are going to set the value of title bar dot text to input field dot text dot text. You might be wondering why it's dot text dot text, because this is the text object of the input field, not the text property. What we are going to access is this text object's text property. Save the script and go back to the script's object and add the input field. Now click on the button and add an on-click event. Add the script's game object, select toggle title script and change title O2. Now let's see if this works. Oh, sorry. change this to standard. Now run the game. Let's call this Daikatana. Click the button and the value changes. So this is how you use the input field. Alright, now let me show you how to add an event trigger to an object that doesn't have the option for event triggers. For example, when you click this button over here, you have an on-click event trigger. But objects such as, say for example, an image, they don't have event triggers. So what if you want to do something when the user hovers the mouse over the image, or if the user clicks the image? You can add an event trigger component and add whatever type of trigger you want. In this case, we are going to add a pointer enter. This is basically on mouse over. First, let's go back to the script and create a public void function and call it on image over. Again, any name is fine. We'll just give a simple debug.log message saying over image. Alright, now you add a trigger over here. I don't know if this is called a trigger or not, so if I'm using the wrong terminology, excuse me. Add the script's game object, select toggle title script and on image over. Let's also have the console window open. Now let's run the game and let's see what happens when I move the mouse over the image. There's a debug.log message here. It says over image, and it'll happen as many times as I move the mouse over the image. So you're not limited to what I've just showed you. You have other options as well. Feel free to experiment with them. Alright, so this is how you can add event triggers to objects that don't have event triggers. And this pretty much concludes our entire Unity 4.6 UI Tools series. Before finishing the video, I'm going to create a simple UI say form or a UI screen for you. It's nothing special, it's just going to be a bunch of buttons, bunch of toggle controls, and the use of scroll bar, the use of UI mask, all these things. I'm not going to talk at all. In fact, the video is going to be sped up just so I can save some time. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Do check out these other videos as well. The video on the top left teaches you about layers and layer masking. The video on the top right teaches you about fixing object rotation, and the video on the bottom left teaches you how to use a wheel collider. I'm also accepting donations, so if you would like to help me out, you can send your donations to my PayPal email address, which is mentioned on the screen and in the description down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.
Is he even still the same? Claiming Lord's boys, but we never seen him main. Not on cover, now on album when he get the chance to hang. Like, damn, 134. Niggas acting like I never been through them doors. Moved uptown and I rocked a little red. Niggas asking if I'm raw cause I'm out in Hempstead. Like, shit, who are you? Entourage member or